The craziness that goes on inside this shop. You can see right here, this is the game board that's been marked out for Loading Wars. This is a show that we're actually doing on our second channel, RCSparks Reboot. And as a part of the last video we just did, it featured this excavator. And I kind of want to go over this a little bit because this excavator is actually from a series we did called YouTube Gold. We did that in the spring summer of 2018. Some of you guys may have seen YouTube Gold. It was actually a lot of fun to do. And in fact, my buddy Rookie bought my other excavator from me because he wanted to get into the game as well. So we do have a pair of these excavators here. But one of the things I noticed with this excavator over time is that the pump always had to be running. And it had actually a very large brushless outrunner motor on it. I believe it was 400 kV. That really didn't do mixing very well. Like, it couldn't ramp up the speed in time to get the hydraulics working. So that's something that was always a battery drainer. And I know a lot of people have this model, so I kind of want to show you the upgrades I did just in case you weren't aware of them, and move forward. So the other thing I noticed about this excavator, and a lot of people may have noticed this over time, is that this machine, I just want to let you know, it's like 43 pounds, I believe, without the battery in it, but it also had very slow motors, very torquey, but man, oh man, this thing would just crawl along, right? Not very fast at all. And so I was very excited to see that somebody had actually come out with a brushed motor upgrade as well, and you'll see it's right around here on the back where the drive cogs are. I'm going to flip it over so you can see a little bit better, but it's from Soylent Industries. My buddy Oyvind, I found him on Facebook. It was actually Rookie, the guy that bought my excavator, that found him and the upgrade. I would be outside having some fun right now, but it is blowing on the open prairie. Tons of snow right now and a north wind, which is just freezing. So I'm kind of stuck inside enjoying my hobby. Now I know everybody with OCD is about to freak out. I've done many videos on this model, and there's not a lot of room in here. All this area under here is hollow. This model actually takes 4 ESCs. 1 ESC per track, an ESC for the pump right here, and an ESC for the turret, for the whole base to move back and forth. So a lot of electronics going in here, a lot of power flowing, and you actually have a whole hydraulic block which is located under here. Now I want to show you what a hydraulic block looks like first. Here we go. Here's one that I had that's used. This is a hydraulic valve block. What happens here, this is controlled by a servo. This is an 8 scale servo right there, or 10 scale, whatever you'd like to say it as. And I'd like to say that this block is one of the larger blocks you will ever see. Most of these hydraulic blocks are controlled by micro servos. Oil comes in here. It's a basic in and out valve. Goes through all here. The valves are open and closed by the servos, which allows the hydraulic pressure to come in and return in each hydraulic block. So each servo would be a block. Each block has 2 sets, in and out. That hydraulic block is underneath this electric stuff, which is basically like that. So when you have a peak in there, you can see those are all the connections. All the servos are in there. I'm running Savox waterproof servos, not because I'm worried about water getting in here, but any of the hydraulic fluid leaking out of the overflow, for example, if it gets too hot or it's too full or whatever, gets onto the ground. I don't want any of the electronics to be actually touched by that fluid. So everything is actually on top of the hydraulic block. That's why it looks like a jumbled mess, but there's so many pieces that go into this to make it work. You really kind of got to be very frugal with your space and kind of and think it out. So this is a small Roxy pump. This is a 1200 milliliter per minute pump, which is absolutely insane. This is a micro outrunner. Well, not really a micro, I guess. It's a smaller outrunner. And the pump comes from Premacon, which is over the pond from me. They've been putting out products for a very long time. Cost me a bloody fortune to get this over here, but it was better to invest in newer upgrades for my existing excavator than having to pay huge money for a brand new one. So basically the line draws from the tank, the pump draws it in here, and underneath there's a small tube that comes across to the block and pressurizes everything. This is the main return tube right here. So that's how the pump works, my friends. For ESCs in here for the tracks, I am running the Hobbywing 1080 crawler ESCs. I find they're the best so far. The radio I'm using is a FlySky Paladin PL18. Tons of channels. In fact, the excavator that I'm running right now, I believe, is a 10 channel. I want to make sure that I'm on the right model. I am. Everything's charged up. Everything's in the neutral position. I'm going to fire up the battery here. So the main change with this pump and pump motor being so small is a smaller motor compared to the monster KV motor it had, the 300 or 400. They did change models over time. I'll show you one right now. Doesn't look too bad, nice size, but have a look at it when you're looking side by side. So there you can see right away that I definitely wanted to switch it out, because the power consumption of a giant torquey motor like this on the pump compared to having this down here. And keep in mind that large pump always has to be on when you're running this one, which is not a big deal. Like I said, it runs really, really well, but it's gobbling up a lot. Plus, here is the big bonus. I'm going to go ahead, lift up my arm. So when I bring it back down, everything is fine. It's mixed in and can ramp up to speed fast enough that I can actually go ahead and just have it mixing when I needed it. Now let's talk about these motor covers right here and right here. You could barely see it, and yes, it does absolutely cut down on the clearance you have in between your tracks, because the other motors were very flush against the tracks. None of this was actually here sticking out. But I have to say, these are just 3D printed motor covers. I can slide this right off here, and you can see it. There's the 540 motor, the brushed motor. But I have to tell you, the transmission, everything hooks together, and it is so much faster and so much more powerful. I am elated, actually, that I have this. So if you guys haven't figured this out and you have this model or haven't heard of Soylent Industries, check it out. Now, they are expensive, don't get me wrong. Be prepared. You're going to be paying for that upgrade, but it is absolutely fantastic. Let me show it to you. Okay, so everything is turned on, everything is silent, the pump is not active yet. So just the new motor turret changing or turning there. It didn't have any hydraulic pressure except for in the arms. Okay, and then what I've done is I've gone ahead on my radio and I set up the tracks on either side. So this dial right here is doing my left track, and of course this one over here is doing my right track. And because they have up and down tabs, I can kind of grip and just move like this while I'm trying to control it. So it's very helpful that way. Up onto the tires. Let's walk forward a bit. Beautiful. Okay, so let's check out the speed of these tracks, or the new motors. Here we go, full speed. Yes. I know half of you guys that have never seen this show are like, what the heck are you even happy about? That's slower than molasses. But I gotta tell you, for what it was, for being the weight that it is, this is super cool to see it ripping around like this. This is why we've incorporated this onto Loading Wars on the other channel, because why not? With the forklifts and the pallet racks and everything going on, you might as well be loading heavy duty equipment onto the trailers as well. Now I can actually hear the tracks. Very cool. Let's load up. Nice and straight. Lining it up with the tires so I don't scratch the trailer. Now, we did have a viewer ask me to do a side load, so I'm definitely going to do that right now for you. Okay, bringing it in on the side load. Slowing it down, getting it lined up. Okay, biggest thing here is I gotta get the front of my tracks in the air, right? I don't wanna be scratching the side as much as possible. So extending the arm, down a little bit, forward. Okay, bringing it down. That's about right. Then creep it forward. Beauty. Now I'm kind of at the tipping point right there. Gonna bring up the boom, retract my arm, swing away from the cab. Right about there, we'll drop it down. And as I'm doing that, I could creep it forward. Right there. Now comes the hard part, because you can see on either side that I'm hanging off there. Extra tire underneath. Okay, bringing it backwards. Okay, get that other tire under there. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and get those tires placed properly under this track. I know. My fingers shouldn't be under there, but it is just an RC. Lower it down. Same thing on the other side. So there you go, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in today. If you want some more crazy antics, of course, check out YouTube Gold if you haven't done that already. It truly is gold for so many reasons. Hopefully for the viewers, it was gold for us to make. We want to make more in the upcoming season. So my equipment has to be ready to go and upgraded and all that neat stuff. Thanks a lot for joining me. If you guys want to check out the crew while we're doing other stuff, like I said, go and see this on the latest episode of Loading Wars on RCSparks Reboot right now. Go over there, check it out, and maybe leave a comment. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.